Hello, my name is Stephen Clark, and I have been given the task by Flute World to record and to discuss all three of the Texas 2022 All-State Études. Now, this year, like many years I'm told, they come from this book. This is the Mary Karen Clardy Flute Etude Book Volume 1, which of course is available from Flute World if you're looking for a copy. All three etudes are in this book. I have just played for you the Karg-Elert E major etude, which is number 20 from this particular book, page 31. And there's a few things that strike me immediately when I started to learn this etude. Like any study or etude, there's always a couple, one, two, maybe even three, very, very specific technical challenges that we find in each etude, because after all, that's the point of them all. The composer, who's usually a flute player, has discussed and thought about what is something challenging for the technical aspects of playing the flute, and then has tried to incorporate this into the etude so that by the time we have studied it and we've learned it thoroughly, that aspect of our technical playing has got better. So I always start by thinking, well, what is it about this etude that is the purpose? What are the challenges that are presented to me as a flute player? And there's a couple that are particularly obvious in this one. The first, of course, is articulation. The very first note of the whole thing is pianissimo staccato, bar one. So already we're seeing that there's some kind of articulation practice going on here. And then Karg-Elert throws in the odd slur here and there, but overall, through all registers from high, middle to low, we have to play lots and lots of staccato notes. That is a different approach to just playing legato. So we have to really think about where's the tongue in our mouth? Where's the tongue in our mouth? Not just to get the best articulation, the best crispness, the best separation between the staccato notes, but also where is it to get the best tone, the best quality of sound? And is that placed the same for the low register as to the middle register and the high register? So that takes some practice and that takes some thought and some experimentation to really, really find out the best way to do that. The other thing which is particularly obvious, I think, as I started to learn this, was the concept, or the problem, should I say, of flexibility. Flexibility is the word that we as flute players use to discuss essentially moving from one register of the flute to the other. For example, going from a low note to a high note, but keeping it smooth and keeping it effortless and without sacrificing the quality of sound. This is the problem that flexibility faces us. And there's quite a few moments in this where you can see this quite apparently. For example, measures 9 and 10, you can see these moments where we have to go from the middle register to the upper register, the high register, and we have to do that in a very legato, smooth, successful way. So I have to really think about where's my embouchure? What is my embouchure doing in these moments to control the airstream so that these moments work? This is an issue that comes again and again and again in this etude. And the final thing which I think is worth talking about is the fact that this study is written in a slightly complicated way, perhaps a little more complicated than it needed to be in terms of the writing itself. For example, if you look at measure 38 and 39, you can see the groupings go across the bar line. Don't be put off by this. This is just to help us with the phrasing. It's a little bit unusual, we don't see that very often, but don't be put off. If you work out where all the beats lie, you'll see that it's just a pretty standard run of 16 notes there. So these are three things I would be very, very aware of from the minute you start to learn this etude. As always, I recommend you practice this very slowly with a metronome. Decide at the beginning what your goal tempo is going to be, and the Texas All-State Etude information tells you, in fact, what what metronome markings they recommend. So we know our goal pretty quickly. Write that down just in the corner of your page, and then start at least at half tempo, if not much slower, and then over gradually a period of time we can get a little bit faster, a little bit faster. That way we're going to learn all the right notes. All these accidentals that pop up in here, we're not going to ignore them, we're not going to miss them, we're not going to get them wrong. And that means we won't have to go back and fix anything. So that's going to give us the best chance. Slow practice is always the most successful. And as always, with any piece of music and any etude, we have to make it sound like the most beautiful thing we've ever played. So if you keep those things in mind, I think that's going to be a great way to start learning this. And I will be doing a class for Flute World on this particular etude and the other two etudes for Texas All-State as well. So keep an eye out for them, and I'll see you guys there. Happy practicing.